Okay. Hi, everybody. First of all, thank you for joining us. I'm going to talk about how to hack a community from the bottom up today. So first and foremost, I'm Sharone Zitzman from Gigaspaces. I lead the Cloudify community. But I also have two other capacities. I lead the OpenStack Israel community and the DevOps Israel community. And in these capacities, I do everything from the online presence to the specific major event of the year. With OpenStack, it's an OpenStack day. With DevOps, it's DevOps Days. It's a 2-day event. And I lead the two primary meetups in our country for those communities. So within these capacities, I lead also I do the open source community growth hacking for our own product. And I think I've garnered some experience, some challenges around, growing these communities, and I thought I would share that experience with you guys. Okay, so assuming you don't have a community at all and you're looking to build something from the ground up, one of my rules of thumb is actually leveraging existing communities to hack growth. So assuming that you have people that are interested in this technology in your area, they're probably distributed amongst different communities. So ways that I've found to hack growth is to do joint meetups, to find the user groups, to find the channels that they're communicating on, and really seek out your audience and amplify your message through these existing channels already. And start getting awareness out about what you're looking to grow. And my leading kind of mantra is by the community, for the community. So I like to believe that I'm delivering value to my community, and the only way to do that and know that is to receive constant feedback. And I can give you a real-world example of our community, our DevOps community in Israel. You also have to know, what your community, where your community is at, how evolved they are, and what it is they're looking for. Because it's not just about, creating something that you think is great. You want people to participate and be a part of this community, because obviously it's community-driven. So a real-life example from DevOps Days Tel Aviv. Last year, 2014, I had a lot of people come up to me, and I need to set kind of the tone of the mindset of DevOps Days. It's a very culture and psych-driven event. They don't believe in talks around tooling and things like that, because it's very much of the mindset that the tooling changes. Things evolve, the tooling changes, it's all about the culture of DevOps. But this is a 2-day event, and people would come to this event, they would receive the mandate to come to this event, and then they'd go home and tell the boss how he needs to change the organization. They said, we can't come back to these events if we don't actually learn something hands-on. We need something technical. And we receive a lot of technical talks, a lot of talk submissions around tooling. And you have to really understand what your community needs. So at this last event, which was our best DevOps Days, I think, to date, we had a technical track as well, where we had a lot of interesting talks around tooling, specific tooling that's relevant to the DevOps community. And we received excellent feedback. So you have to actually know what your community wants and needs. And it's not just about creating something that's like kind of amorphic and hoping that people will rally towards it. You have to actually create something that answers a need. So to me, it's community driven. Receive feedback and know what your community wants and needs, and build it, and they will come, I think. Leverage existing assets. To me, that means anything that's at your disposal to actually make this community shine and drive, take advantage of it. These are the assets that you've created and garnered. So, for example, if you want to keep driving the momentum year-round around the community, if you have a day event that you've launched and you received a lot of talk submissions, you can leverage these year-round for your meetup. You can contact these people. It also plays to the inclusivity, which I'll talk about in a minute, and being community-driven. And then also people who have they're a little bit bitter about not being at the OpenStack Day or being on the stage or whatever it is, they get to present their talk nonetheless throughout the year. You can say to them, hey, you didn't make the cut for any number of reasons at OpenStack Day, but hey, we have a meetup, we have a podcast, we have any number of ways for you to engage. We'd love for you to present your talk. People at large companies that are community-driven. I found that that's a really good way to amplify, your community and get more people involved. If you have somebody who's community-inclined from a large company like Red Hat or HP or IBM or any of these major companies, I found that they do a wonderful job of internal awareness, and that builds your community very, very nicely. Definitely leverage committed and engaged assets. Take advantage of live opportunities. For me, this is my first OpenStack Summit. I'm really excited to be here, despite leading the OpenStack Israel community for about 4 years now. Yeah, there have been any number of reasons I haven't managed to make it out, but I'm finally here. And I have just been meeting people face to face. There's just a completely different feeling when you meet people face to face and you put a face to a name. So take advantage of live opportunities such as a summit, an OpenStack day, meet people, talk to people. I tried to do an open space. It was a huge and utter failure this morning, but I tried. I created an OpenStack global group, I created a Slack, and I tried to really rally people to this cause because I really think that people can communicate and collaborate and learn from each other's experiences. Another thing in the OpenStack case is they have an excellent team, and they're wonderful, and they're helpful, so definitely leverage the OpenStack team. They will want to help you drive any community initiative that you have. And another one of my favorites is actually stealing ideas. And I'm not afraid or ashamed to say this, steal excellent ideas. I can give you a great example. I lead another meetup just for fun called Entrepreneurs and Beer. And at our last meetup, we had a guy talk about his podcast called Startup Camel. And he says, like, shamelessly, he stole this idea from another podcast called Entrepreneurs on Fire. I'm from Israel, I'm from Tel Aviv, and there's a lot of local interesting technology there. But there was like a market gap for like a really good podcast to bring it to the world. And this is what this guy did. He had this podcast that he would listen to regularly, Entrepreneurs on Fire. And he was like, I can totally bring that to the local scene and talk about all of the interesting technology coming out of this country. I'm doing it, and it's a really awesome podcast. So that's a really great example of things that you can do. There's nothing wrong with borrowing good ideas that aren't in your local community. People have done things. You can learn from people's experiences. You can also reach out to the people who have done these things and learn from them. I find that community-driven people are always willing to help and build your help mutually amplify, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I think engagement versus bombardment, to me that means develop relationships and don't just talk at people. If you're using any number of channels, from the Slack to the Twitter to the Facebook to the LinkedIn, whatever it is, whatever channel you're on, make sure you're actually listening to and responding to people and answering, because it's not just a matter of bombarding people with any number of messages. You have to know that you're actually bringing them in and engaging them and rallying them. So if you're on a specific channel, make sure that and it sounds like it's a given, but it's not always a given. Many times people are just tweeting, but they're not actually looking to see if they're, being responsive. So I think that matters. And I say, in my opinion, I think you need to make a lot of friends. I think we're all in this together, and by that I mean you have to pay it forward. And be a connector and do any number of things that you can do to help people out. And I like to call that 5-minute favors. If you know somebody, introducing people, helping people out, sending out an email to your meetup group, any number of things to help people out, because I found it's only rewarding. Good deeds will come back to you. So definitely pay it forward. Next. Inclusivity versus exclusivity. Taking an elitist approach to community is all wrong. Some people don't know the guidelines and the rules. They're noobs. They're this. They're that. There's any number of reasons that they're doing it slightly wrong from what you think they should be doing it. Okay, so give people opportunities to get involved. If they submitted a talk wrong, if it's too pitchy, if it's this or that, you just explain the rules nicely. You can tell them you can modify this to an Ignite. You can modify that to a workshop. You can give them the opportunities to kind of find the place that they fit in your community. But don't exclude them, because somebody who's taken the effort and made the effort and was brave enough to submit a talk, to do this, that means that they're engaged enough to actually be an active and integral member of your community. And you should listen to their stories and kind of learn lessons from them also. If there's one thing you should take from this talk, it's this. It's not just one day a year. So if you have an OpenStack day, keep the momentum going. There are people that are engaged enough to come to this event. You need to continue that. So I would say create diverse channels for people to communicate, collaborate around the year. And I would say start small, because it's not easy to listen and engage on all those channels. But I would at some point try to cater to everyone's poison, because there's so many channels out there that you really should kind of be available to your community wherever they are. I think FaceTime at least a couple times a year is important. So if you don't have the capacity or the time or the resources to, run a meetup year-round, at least like a quarterly event, something that just makes all of the difference when people can actually meet physically and collaborate and talk and kind of, be involved on on an actual non-virtual level. And this is kind of what drives me. I'd like to sum it up with the age-old phrase of chop wood and carry water. You got to lead by example. And when the opportunity arises, you have to step up because nobody's going to do the work for you. There's a lot of work involved with driving a community, no doubt. You have to be aware of that, and you have to be willing to put in the legwork and the heavy lifting in order to get the rewards at the end. It won't drive itself. You know, the second you let up your foot from the gas or whatever it is, kind of, like I said, you have to lead by example. I guess it goes with you, so you really have to be aware that nothing comes easy, but when it comes, it's wonderful. You have a community of people rallying around a cause, and there's nothing more wonderful than being a part of something bigger than you. So that's those are my few thoughts on how to hack a community from the bottom up. I have a million other small hacks of kindness, I like to call them. That if you want to talk to me, you can catch me on Twitter anytime, Sharone Z, or email me. I started a global OpenStack community Slack that you can get an auto invite for if you want that. Ping me. I started an OpenStack global community Facebook group. Please join. I really want to find places for people in OpenStack to take this global, communicate, collaborate, and just take it to the next level. I think the fact that you're here demonstrates, your buy-in to everything that's awesome around OpenStack. So thank you. Do you have any questions?